Yes, sir. And we're back. Another edition, another day of I Am Athlete presenting Paper Route. This is our version of sports talk presented by players. We're in the locker rooms. We know what's going on. Here's our point of view. I'm sitting here today with Antoine Walker, Mr. Shimmy himself out there in the summertime shy. We got Corey in the cut. We got Woo out west. We got BC in the back. And we got Manderville. Manderville is back. You've never seen Manderville's face, but Manderville was gone all last week. He's been working with us for almost 2 years, maybe even longer, and he's never taken a vacation. And he's the guy to keep the trains on the track. So we welcome Manderville back, and maybe one day he'll reveal his face and actually show up on camera. But guys, Twan, how's everything going? Before we jump in, our show, we have an action-packed show. We actually have news. This is the worst time of the year in sports, right? We make up stories. There's nothing to talk about. There's no NBA. There's no NFL. There's nothing to talk about. Now, all of a sudden, overnight, we have 3, 4 breaking news topics, and we have so many stories that we can cover. So, before we jump in, tell us how it's going on, out there in Chicago. It's summertime. Y'all have like 25 days of the best weather in the world, and you guys become the best city in the world for 25 days.
No, you know you love this city, man. The summer's actually been great. It ain't been too hot. We've been in the 80s. It's going to be 80, 90 this week. Summertime been great. Not a lot of rain. One of them good summers. You wish you was here, man. It's better than Miami right now, right? Miami's probably, what, 100 degrees.
Yeah, we've had heat advisories, I think, a week straight. Yeah, to your point.
Yes, we all right, man. We got great weather. Don't hate on my city, man. Don't do that. This city showed you a lot of love. This city showed you a lot of love, B. March. Don't do that.
No, listen. I'm one of those guys. Listen, look. I love Chicago. I thought I was going to retire Chicago Bear. I thought I was going to lay my roots down in Chicago, Twan. I thought I was going to be your neighbor forever. I'm being honest. Like, I'm trying to recruit you down to South Florida because the Chicago Bears and the McCaskies, they kicked me out of Chicago. How you come in? I gave you 1,500 yards. I gave you 14 touchdowns, Twan. I went crazy. They chose Jay Cutler over me. So blame the McCaskies. I love Chicago. I didn't pay for a steak, Twan. I go to Michael Jordan. He has the best steakhouse in the city. If you want to fillet me on, it's the best steak.
That's not
Harry
true.
Carey's.
That's the problem.
Who has the best steak?
You went to the wrong place. That's not the best steak. That's not.
Who got the best steak?
Roof Chris is a better steak.
Really?
Oh my goodness! Well, we're talking about Chicago brands. Like I'm talking about like places. Harry Carey's is nowhere outside of Chicago or Illinois.
Oh, okay.
Michael Jordan Steakhouse. I'm not saying it's the best food, but the filet mignon there, it's probably one of the. I can put up that filet with any filet across the world. Twan, you haven't supported Michael Jordan. I'm disappointed you because that's your buddy.
I've been there a couple times. I've been to all his restaurants, but that doesn't mean that that's the best steakhouse. I'm not gonna let you say that. It's all right.
Give me.
Not the best. When I want to eat a steak, we're not saying let's go to Jordan's. I'm just saying that's not what we're saying.
Okay, like all right, I'm gonna come in town. Actually, I'm coming to Chicago Friday.
You got other places.
You and I need to go to dinner.
Yeah, because it's other places that got a little bit more sexy ambiance. We got steak, we got Chicago cut on the water. It's a lot of this other stuff that what I mean. So all that factors into making that steak good. We got good ambiance and all that too. That plays a part.
So Twan, I'm in town Friday. Like my go-to is a Sunda, right? Asian fusion.
I love
sushi.
Sunda.
That's my number one spot in Chicago. What's your number one spot? You got a date. You're taking your lady out. Okay, you got one shot. You in a doghouse. You got to get out the doghouse. Where are you taking her?
That's a tough one, man. You put me under the gun with that one. I'm versatile, so I mix it up. But I like something that's a low key. That's actually you threw out a great one right there. I didn't know you was on that too much. I'm proud of you.
He throwing out
I'm proud of you.
Hitting gems in Chicago.
I didn't know you had that in you in Chicago. I'm proud of you. I guess you have some good tour guys.
That's right.
You got good tour guys.
And my spot, my spot. I actually invested in the water tower, Harry Carey. So you'll walk in and you'll see. I think your jersey's in there. We put your jersey up. Of course, I had to put my own jersey up there, but it's great. It's the museum, sports museum is there. But I used to go to the Harry Carey's, right there downtown. Harry Carey's, you can't get a bad meal from Harry Carey's.
Yeah, but in the summertime, I'm a Rush Street guy. You know what I mean? That's more of my.
You want to be You want to be Gold Coast. You want to be out there with those
Yeah,
guys, huh?
I like to sit outside, you know what I mean? Nice scenery, sit on the street, you know what I mean? So the food may not be top notch, where we can put it in the top 10 category, but I'm talking about everything mixed in, the atmosphere, the food, the drinks. So I'm a Rush Street guy.
All right, well, I'll
It's
be
just
there Friday. I'll be there Friday. Let's
meet
go
me
to
on
dinner,
Rush
bro.
Street.
Let's catch up. All right,
Yeah,
bet. I'm there. I'm there.
Yeah.
It'll be have to be a dinner because I'm coming in from the West Coast. I'm coming in from Vegas, so it'll be a little later in the afternoon. So make some
oh,
time for me.
no problem, brother.
I'll
I'll be
call you
around.
offline. But right now, we have some news. And to start this, the news of the day. It's not a great topic for us, especially
Right.
if you love sports, especially if you're a
Mhm.
basketball fan. So, Corey, can you jump into the news of the day for us?
Well, yeah, we want to send our condolences out to the James family, and I'm referring to LeBron James as Bronny James suffered a cardiac arrest at practice at USC. The reports are saying now that he is in a stable condition in the ICU, but obviously a scary situation for Bronny James and his family. So once again, definitely want to send our condolences out to him, and hopefully he makes a speedy recovery and he's back to, back to playing the way he was before today's or yesterday's incident, rather. But yeah, that would be our news of the day. Do
So
you
let me
guys
say
want to send any
this.
messages?
So let me say this. First off,
Hmm.
Corey, definitely a tough time, but we're not sending any condolences, right? Like Bronny is still here with us, thank God.
You right?
This is a parent's worst nightmare. Twan, you know this. You have children. Corey, you don't have children yet. Uh, you understand it, but you'll feel it once start building your family, right?
Hmm.
Same thing with you, Wu and BC. BC has children. Manderville has children, so we get this every single day as parents. We wake up, and the first thing that we think about, the only thing that we think about surrounding our children is how do we protect our children, right? You go out to the pool, got to keep your eyes on your children. Go to the beach, is there any hazards around? We're walking across the street, they're outside playing. Every single day, that's the number one priority. That's your number one job as a parent. And it's an innate thing that happens is protect your children. So we send out our prayers and our thoughts to the LeBron, to the James family, excuse me. They deserve their privacy right now while he recovers and heals. So Twan, this is devastating news. I wasn't expecting to wake up to this. I turn on the television, I hear breaking news, and then all of a sudden you hear that, Bronny's out there at practice Monday afternoon on the campus of USC, and he suffers from a cardiac arrest, right?
Yeah.
Thank God that the medical staff, Twan, was there and they did their job, and they were able to, help him right there on the spot and then rush him to the hospital. And now he's out. Like Corey said, he's not in the ICU anymore. He's at home recovering. So thank God for that. But this was very scary.
Yeah, and I think this, we got to take the game, get basketball out of it, and we obviously want the best for him to recover, and if he's able to play again one day, that's great. If not, to him being still here and being alive and getting back healthy is the main and the most important part of this. And I think sometimes it's, people that are basketball fans, and obviously this young kid has generated a bunch of fans now. It's all about getting healthy and making sure that he's going to be able to play again, let alone, trying to make it to the league and all these other things that people are thinking about with this guy. Hopefully he gets back healthy and he's able to fulfill his dream, because I'm pretty sure he has dreams and aspirations of playing basketball for a very long time and playing at the next level. Obviously thoughts and prayers go out to the James family. It's scary, man. We've seen this happen, so this can go either way. But hopefully this comes back healthy. Basketball is secondary, and sports is secondary at this moment. So hopefully he can get back healthy, get back to a healthy life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and Corey, when celebrities and athletes, prominent people with platforms, public figures, when they ask for privacy, what they're asking for is just us to send out our prayers and thoughts and move on. But I do want to say this before we move on. It's the last thing I would say on this subject. Twan, I looked into this, right? Because I'm very curious. I'm like, how does an athlete suffer from cardiac arrest, right? And what is the recovery process? I'm not thinking about basketball. You think about it, but then you quickly say, that doesn't matter. Is this kid going to make a full recovery? We've seen people suffer from strokes or heart attacks, and they lose different type of functions in their body, right? Like they lose memory, right? Like the owner of the Buffalo Bills, she's still recovering from what she dealt with 2-3 years ago. She lost speech, she lost memory, language issues. Like, it's a big deal, right? So like the first thing I thought about was, will he make a full recover? How does an athlete, actually suffer from this? And the only thing that came up was, like impact, something physical, right? Being ran into. We saw DeMar Hamlin, right? Like things like that. Has only happened a few times on the basketball court. Well-known stories, definitely documented. This happened a few times in ball. I think Stringer, after a preseason game plan for the Minnesota Vikings, a big offensive lineman walks into the locker room and he passes out. There's other things, that comes up, right? Underlining issues, like what else is there? So thoughts and prayers there. But that was the thing that came up for me, was how does this happen, right? And will he be in position to make a full recovery? And the information that I saw, said that, yes, he can make a full recovery, especially if the medical team does a phenomenal job right when this thing happens. And they did that. And we saw this with DeMar Hamlin as well, which was a more severe and serious matter, right? Like he literally died on the field. So thoughts and prayers there, but those were my initial thoughts, Corey.
Yeah. And again, send our thoughts and prayers out to the James family. But moving on, as Brandon alluded to at the top of the show, we got a lot of news. We got a lot of breaking news, rather. So Saquon Barkley, a story we've been following for a long time now, agreed to a one-year deal worth up to $11 million with the Giants. Now, the details in this deal, there's $10.1 million guaranteed, which is equivalent to the price, really, of the franchise tag. But there's a $2 million signing bonus, so he receives that up front. And in that contract, there is $909,000 worth of incentives, right? So there's 3 categories in order for him to reach these incentives. What he has to do is rush for 1,350 yards rushing plus a playoff berth. He has to catch 65 passes, and he also has to score 11 touchdowns. Now, Brandon, we were talking about this in a production meeting, but do you think the Giants really did right by him? And did he get what he wanted in this contract?
Absolutely not, right? Like, opening up this show, I talked about this being presented by, I'm athlete, but led by players, right? Like we're privy to certain information. We have certain relationships, right? And we can, give our perspective of, on these topics that come from just have a different point of view, right? Like there's something different from a traditional journalist and these traditional outlets. Regarding Saquon Barkley, I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I had an opportunity to be around him at a celebrity softball event, Devontae Smith's event out in Allentown, Pennsylvania, right outside of Philadelphia. And we talked, and he talked openly. And he told me they weren't far apart. He told me that, it was at a point where they're probably splitting pennies. He wasn't trying to reestablish the market. He wasn't trying to break the bank. He understood exactly where the market was. And we're talking about being away, being apart maybe by $1 million or $2 million. So this doesn't surprise me. This is the exact deal that I feel was on the table. The Giants win here for me, Twan, right? Like the tag was $10.1 million, okay? And these incentives, like I hate incentives, especially for a guy who's already earned it.
Yeah.
He's not the New York Football Giants running back. He's the New York Football Giants offense. Okay. So when you look at these incentives, can he hit these incentives? Yes, he can. I don't like the first one. 1,350 yards. I think that would give him his best year ever rushing. Last year he had 1,300 yards. I think that's easy for Saquon. But again, we're talking about a war of attrition. We're talking about a running back who had 295 carries last year, 57 receptions. That's a lot of touches, okay? We're one play, a high ankle sprain. Now you got to play through something. And every single NFL player out there, Torn, is dealing with something. They're playing through something. And I think it might be the same for the NBA. As soon as you get the preseason, now you're dealing with something. To hand me a back, an ankle sprain, something there. So I don't like that first incentive. Right. So, and I don't think he'll hit it because of the playoff berth. The New York Giants came out and overperformed last year. I don't think the New York Giants are in position to come out and be, as strong. And it's not because of them, because I think they're a well-coached team. I love Brian Daboll, But when you look at the NFC, there's a lot of talent out there, even in their division. Think about that. The Cowboys.
Yeah, they got
think
the
about
division.
The Eagles. You think the Eagles are going to fall off?
No.
Like they don't. They might. I don't even think they have a chance of making. I don't think they have the chance of making the playoffs. And then you look at the other two. I think they'll hit it, Twan. 57 catches is what he had last year. I think he can hit 63 catches or whatever they have in incentives, and I think he can have 11 plus touchdowns. He had 10 last year. Saquon Barkley is the type of guy that should have 14, 15 touchdowns. So I don't love this deal, Twan. I think this is the type of deal that the Giants stood on from the beginning. And it's unfortunate that Saquon Barkley has to play on another one-year deal as a running back.
Well, let me say this, because when I seen this and when I saw the topic, and I really looked at it, and it just, for me as an NBA player, ex-NBA player, it's frustrating, and just having love for athletes and us being able to perform and get paid what we're worth. And maybe you guys can help me understand this a lot better, being guys that play football. And what's the defense? How can you defend yourself in these type of moments when this guy's been everything for this team offensively, and done so and put in his work, but when it comes to getting paid, it's got to have 19 different incentives. He still has to do it. Yeah. It's frustrating just as, one, being an athlete, but two, for the player. And you guys play such a violent game when you put your bodies on the line, every week. So it's hard for me to understand this. So I just want to, just as a football fan and just somebody that's on the outside looking in, that signed the max contract, and we're going to talk about it shortly about Jaylen Brown's contract and those things. How do you guys feel about this? Do you guys get frustrated as players? Do you feel for Saquon Barkley, a guy who's put this work in already? I just want to know the mindset of football players and what they think when they see guys that put the work in not get rewarded or have to fight for their money so hard.
Yeah, this is a unique situation, right? Because we're talking about the running back, right? And over the history of the NFL and in probably all sports, there's always a balancing act. Like you got to think about the stock market, right? That when the stock market's really hot, there's going to be some type of correction, right? And this is what happens usually over the course of some type of business, in some type of industry, and we're not exempt from that as athletes, right? Quarterback market. The quarterbacks are now making up almost 20% of the salary cap. You're talking about $220 million that is out there, a pool of money for the entire team. And you have one guy, one position that is taking up 20% of that. There's going to be a correction there. It so happens to be the running back market, but it's built around the change of the game. It's almost like what happened in NBA, Twan, right? Like bigs, right? Like how valuable is a traditional big man? They're not that valuable anymore. Guys want bigs that can play D, that can shoot the three, that can do it all. You got to be super dynamic. So when you think about the running back position, if you're not an Alvin Kamara or if you're not a Christian McCaffrey, you can say goodbye to a long-term deal. You can say goodbye to any type of a decent deal that's going to give you any type of stability and security. So, Twan, the way I look at this, right, to answer your question, I don't think it's a problem around like superstars, right? Superstars usually get their money, right? You go out there, you ball, and then you go out there and they say, you know what, this is what we're going to give you. And it's not loaded with a lot of incentives. What happens in football is a lot of times, sometimes these deals could be backloaded. And if you don't keep up with the production and you don't do your job, you may not reach all of that money, right? So it's important to have a really good structure, a really good model when you sit at the table. I talked to a really one of the most powerful people in football this morning. We had a conference call. We had other things to talk about, business. And right before we got off the call, he said, let me get your thoughts on the running back market. It shocked me. It surprised me. They're thinking about this at the league office, okay? And so what I told him, Twan, is this. I said, well, to me, it's not about the running back. It's all about the tag. Transition tag, franchise tag has no place in ball. And I've been standing on the table saying this, Twan, for years. And I've definitely been saying this since we launched Paper Route. The problem is you go out there for 3 years, 4 years, you're highly productive. Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, and there's other guys out there. And then all of a sudden you get a tag. That's not good business. What's good business is being able to do your job and then get to the market. Because if Saquon Barkley, Twan, was on the free market he would have got a really good deal. He would have saw probably $15 million a year. There would have been at least one or two teams out there that was willing to say, he's valuable to us, and we're going to get that deal done. We see it all the time. Like, how did this guy get this deal done? It only takes one. My agent used to always tell me, Torn, it takes one team. It takes one owner to say, I believe in you. And that's the market. That's your value. So what I told this high-ranking official in the NFL was, you got to look at the history of the franchise tag. The franchise tag was created for Mr. B, the owner, rest in peace, of the Denver Broncos to keep John Elway. John Elway hit free agency. He runs to New York. He flies into New York on his private jet. He runs into the league office on Park Avenue, and he runs to the commissioner, and he says, I can't lose John Elway. So they create this thing out of nowhere. They create the franchise tag, but it was created to buy more time for them to get a long-term deal done. And guess what? They did that. And the next year, the owners and players, they did that. But guess what happened now, Twan? These owners are using that as leverage. I don't want to pay them. So I'm not going to actually use this as a tool to buy more time. What I'm actually going to do is say, I'm going to tag Saquon this year, and I'm going to tag him again, then we'll let him go. Or then we'll see where we're at. And that's what I told him. I said, it's not a running back issue. It's a franchise tag issue. And the players need to be standing on the table, and this need to be priority number one as this CBA expires over the next couple years. We got to eliminate these tags and these transition tags.
Brandon, I want to ask you, do you see the Raiders and Josh Jacobs maybe negotiating a deal similar to one that we've seen Saquon agree to with the Giants?
So, Twan and Corey, I'm out here now in Las Vegas, right? So I'm hanging out with the locals. I'm watching local news. And yesterday, everybody's covering the Raiders. They report today in a few hours, right? And so Josh Jacobs was here. But then all the local news out here, they're saying Josh Jacobs is now he's left Las Vegas. He's no longer in Nevada, and he's not coming back anytime soon. So for me, I thought that was interesting. And the way I looked at this and some of the things that came out, Twan, was Josh Jacobs won't probably be in camp, but he will return for week 1. So that's some of the information that's coming out. But then the Saquon Barkley thing hit. And the question that I'd have, and I don't know the answer, is will this inspire, will this like fuel under Josh Jacobs and his representation and Josh McDaniels, the Las Vegas Raiders, to get back to the table and figure something out? Because, Twan, what you can do is this, right? They can no longer work on a long-term deal. That deadline has come and gone. That was July 17th at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So they can't do a long-term deal. But what they can do is come out and say we can do a one-year deal. They can get really creative. What we didn't say about Saquon Barkley, and this was a big miss for him, is, okay, you got the incentives. But what you should have fought for was you can't franchise tag me next year. Aaron Rodgers was able to do that with the Green Bay Packers last year. That's what Saquon Barkley should have fought for. That's what Josh Jacobs should fight for, and he should fight for a little bit more. So my question, Twan, is when the Raiders, and this is a question to you, if you're the Raiders, if you're Josh Jacobs and his representation, seeing Saquon Barkley get creative and his team and the Giants, will this inspire you? Will this like fuel under you to actually come back to Vegas, get to the table, and figure something out?
Well, it just depends. If I want to be there, that's one. And then two, I want my just due. I want my market value as a player. So it's tough. And that's why I always feel for football players and not having as much leverage as, basketball players or baseball players. I just feel like, it's kind of they win in these type of situations. And he's playing in a very dangerous position where you guys know that he can get hurt. And, I don't even want to talk about that, but he can get hurt and something happen and change the whole complexion of his game. That simple. So I just wish that, it was obviously a little bit more player friendly because of the injury aspect of it. And I just know your market value can go down tremendously if something like that's happened. So, it's a situation where you want to hold out and you want to try to make sure you get market value. But I just wish those goals, Sam. When I see these stories, and especially guys that put in the work and have been so productive, like Barkley has been so productive, I just feel for those guys not being able to get rewarded. You would think a team would be geeked up, excited,
right,
to be able to take care of them. And we're going to talk about it here shortly. it was a no-brainer. You know what I mean? We just seen what the Celtics did for Jaylen Brown. So those are the type of things I just hate to see when you see players that put in work like Saquon Barkley has.
Well,
right, exactly. Well, let's get to it, Corey.
Right.
Twan brought up Jaylen Brown.
He sure
we
did.
might as well dive. We might as well dive into it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say dive into Jaylen Brown. I learned my lesson. Twan, did you see that clip when I was on It Is What It Is?
They got him.
You see me, Twan?
Pause.
Pause. Yeah. Well,
hey, you know what? This is what we're going to do.
Go ahead.
I was thinking about this morning, right? For you guys that don't know, Killer Cam and Mace, yes, the rappers, they launched this sports show, a YouTube series called It Is What It Is. And I think it's one of the hottest sports show out right now, like, because they're super disruptive and no filter. And so I went on there and I talked about, Chris Paul was the guest host. Stat Baby was in Paris shopping and vacationing. So I sat in between these two, pause. And so I go from one topic to the next, and I'm like, it's time to dive into Chris Paul. And they just went crazy with it, and that was a super pause moment for them. So I thought about it this morning, Torn. I'm like, we're going to have him on our show, and we're going to play the opposite of pause. So we're going to be able to go out there and talk the way we talk, whether it's, load management, all the load here, and no pause. They can't say no pause on our show. So I'm excited to do that, bring Mace and Killer on our show, and we not playing the pause game and see how they respond to that.
That's too funny.
I like that.
But we're going to talk about Jaylen Brown. I was going to say he's a guy who's certainly not unhappy with the contract he landed. He signed a 5-year, $304 million contract, and that is fully guaranteed, making it the richest contract in NBA history. Twan, he's a Celtics franchise took care of him. Do you think he was deserving of it? You was kind of alluding to that, when we brought it up briefly.
I think he's deserving of it. He's a big part of what they're doing now. I love the tandem of him and Jason. These guys have had nothing but a lot of success. They made really deep playoff runs. He's been very productive when you look at his numbers. His numbers speak for itself. And I think people get excited. I mean, get a little shaky when they see the number, when you see 305. But that's what the market is. It lets you know the game is in a great space right now. Players are going to, me, I'm a player first guy. I'm pretty sure you guys are. So I'm excited when I see players able to get this type of money. And I think he deserves it. They've had nothing but success, man. They're on the verge of, maybe getting them an NBA title. They're right there. So I'm happy for this guy. He's a two-way player. He can defend at his position. He can score the basketball. Him and Jason have shown to be a great tandem. So I like it.
Brandon, it's going to take quite a while for football to catch up to these type of contracts.
Yeah, kind of. Well, I think, we talked about it a little earlier. The quarterback market is already there. They represent probably 20% of the salary cap, but it's like everyone else, right? Can we see wide receivers get there? Right. Can we see defensive backs get there? Offensive linemen, right? Defensive ends. So I think there's a possibility there. Twan, when I saw this, there's a few things that came to mind. Number one, the Celtics absolutely had to do this. Is this his value? I would say no, because I don't even know if Jaylen Brown is in this. This is a supermax deal. Supermax are set aside for superstars. And I don't know if he's a superstar. I would actually go out there and say he's not a superstar. Now, he went out there and had his best year, 22-23 season, averaging almost 26 points a game. I mean, the dude is super consistent. He's always available. He's not playing this load management game, right? He's not one of the reasons why we have to do these in-season tournaments to get guys to actually come out there and play, and they're young, right? He's 26. You have Tatum at 25. So it's not that he deserves this. It's more so that this is what he means to this team. And then you also got to account for some of the drama outside of the team in the city. This was a guy that said, I'm not comfortable in Boston. This is a guy that came out and said, there's some racial things that we're dealing with here. He stood on the front line in the middle of a pandemic. He marched. He stood up in the bubble. He led conversations. He led the way, literally and figuratively. And so the Boston Celtics had to come in a major way. And so, if I was the Boston Celtics, I would have did it too, because now you're looking at a tandem that is on the cusp of really breaking through. They've been right there knocking on the door for a few years, and this tandem could potentially lead the way for the next 10 years. So I would have done it because that's his value to me, right? He's a great person. He's a great dude. He works his tail off. But I don't think that he is necessarily worth $61 million a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I think it's the intangibles too. I think we got to look at this organization. They got Jason Tatum. They got some good pieces in play. They've been right there at the door as far as getting to an NBA championship. So you do not want to break this thing up. And that's what the market values. This league is in a great position. You can't knock the player for taking advantage of where the league is at right now. I think that we got to look at that too as well. The league is in a great position. So you're going to see, I bet you we see 10 to 15 more guys sign big, huge deals like this. I don't know who, we can go team by team to see guys they'll be up for this type of deal. But I don't have no problem with Jaylen getting this money. I think it just shows that the Celtics are committed to him and Jason Tatum. They believe that those guys can get them to a championship. And he's gotten better and better every year. He's one guy. If you look for him from his rookie year to where he's at now, he's gotten better offensively. You're talking about a guy now averaging 26, 27 points a game. He played well. He's played well in the playoffs. He played well in the finals as well. So I think he's deserving of the money. It's a matter of how can you pay this guy this kind of money, and then obviously Jason's making max money. How are you going to continue to put the pieces around him? That's what I always worry about.
I was literally going to ask you that question, Antoine. Yeah. No, go ahead.
That's what I worry about. Can you continue to put the pieces around them so they can be successful, so you can have chances in the finals to win an NBA title? But just the contract itself and him deserving of it, I think the body of work speaks for itself, and the team success that they've had over the last years with him being a major part of it also helps him out a lot as well.
Yeah. So you bring up pieces, right? So you lose Smart. Memphis, they needed to bring in a guy like that to help with the whole Ja Morant situation.
Major loss. Major loss. Mm-hmm.
Right. Are you saying that it was a major loss? For me, the reason why I think it's huge in the major loss is not like what he necessarily brings on the court, which was a lot, but it was, his fiery leadership. Like, to me, he was the Rabbi. He was the guy that got things going and made sure the accountability was there. So why do you say it was a huge loss for the Celtics, losing Smart?
Both. One, for the examples that you just gave, but I think one in the locker room, and then two, his on-court production. I think you're talking about a guy who can play the 1, 2, and 3. He's one of our better defenders in the NBA, and he can guard all three of those positions at a very, very high level. And he was getting better. He's a guy that came in the league, he couldn't really shoot, but now he's making threes now. He's developed himself to be an above average point guard. I wouldn't say he's a true point guard, but he's above average point guard. That all plays a part. So I look at the things that he's done and gotten. That's what stands out to me when I think about Marcus Smart and what he lost. I was super disappointed. I wasn't on the show when this trade happened to be able to express my feelings about it, but I was super disappointed. I think he's the heart and soul of that team, even though we see – and that's crazy when you see Jaylen Brown sign for $300 million, but I think he's the heart and soul of that team, and that's a big piece that they're going to be missing. That's why I think it was even more important that the Celtics sign Jaylen Brown to this deal and make sure they keep him. Because you can't let another piece walk out the door.
So this is if we had Mace and Cameron on our show right now, this is where they wouldn't be able to play the pause game, right? For what I'm about to say, right? All right. So you lose Marcus Smart, but insert Chris Porzingis. Okay, this is what I'm saying. They can't say pause right there, right? So insert Chris Porzingis. All right, a 7+ footer, 7'3", 7'4". I don't know how tall he is, right? Is that enough? Because we talk about the pieces. Like, this dude obviously dealt with some injuries over the year, but we talk about a skill set. The skill set is there. When this dude is rolling and he's healthy, man, he's dynamic. So is that enough for the Celtics with Marcus Smart locked in? I mean, not Marcus Smart, but Jaylen Brown not locked in for the next 5+ years. And then also you got Tatum. Is that enough for them to get over the hump?
He helps because you could have let Marcus Smart walk out the door and got nothing in return. But you can, if you add a guy like Kristaps Porzingis, I think it's great. I do like him. He fits the style of NBA game now, being a big guy that can step out, shoot threes, versatile on the offensive end. He's not necessarily a great defender. Obviously he's not a Marcus Smart defender, but he is a 7-foot guy that can be around the rim and protect the rim. So I do like it. I don't think he's at Marcus Smart level because I think Marcus Smart has improved offensively, and I think what he does defensively is second to none. He's one of the top defenders in this league, top 10 defender in the league. You don't get that back in return with Porzingis. So, but to get a guy, an all-star caliber guy back like Porzingis, I think is great for the Celtics. And he's another guy who can shoot, gives them some spacing. You got to think about what he brings to the team, not necessarily defensively, but offensively. The way the game is played now, he actually helps them more offensively because he can space the floor. And he's a great scorer in this league. He's shown that.
Yeah. Well, don't you think he's going to really have to, I guess, hone in on almost being like a spot-up shooter? Because my question for you, Antoine, is – yeah, because do you is he in your starting lineup? Is he the 5, or do you have Robert Williams in your starting lineup? Is Porzingis the 4? Because I feel like in that offense, the only thing really he can do – is almost be a spot-up shooter, and I feel like you're kind of limiting him from an offensive standpoint. I don't know. How do you think that dynamic is going to work?
I'm not a GM. I'm not a head coach in the league. But if I give a guy $30 million a year, which Porzingis is making, he better be able to. I got to start.
Yeah.
We're going to figure this out.
Right.
I'm not paying a guy $30 million to come off the bench, bro. So we're going to figure it out. And that's up to that. We're going to figure this out. I'm not a GM. I don't run teams. I'm not a head coach. But if I'm paying a guy $30 million, he better be a starter in this league.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to start. So it's adjustment for him. He's going to have to start. Whether that's a center, whether that's a power forward, he's going to have to figure it out.
Because
that's how I feel.
Yeah, because for me, he's not good enough of a rebounder for me, just personally, right? Like to be my starting 5, and I don't want to miss out on what Robert Williams can give me. So I just feel like that's going to pigeonhole him into being a spot up. But I mean, if that's what they need to win, that's what they need to win, right?
Yeah, but I think Robert Williams is my starting center, and my power forward is going to be Porzingis. Yeah, it's just point blank. It's going to be my power forward. Al Horford and Robert Williams played together. Yeah. They'll figure out. Obviously, it's two dynamics are different as far as player skill set, but I'm playing both of them. Now you long. I mean, now you got 2 7-footers there down the middle. You long. It changes you defensively. You can protect the basket a lot better. But remember, though, you're losing one of the top perimeter defenders in the league. Right. We're not talking about an average defender. We're talking about top 10 defender in the league that you lost. So, I mean, I love Marcus Smart. Obviously, it's going to be tough to replace. But, I mean, you did add a guy that can give you a lot. When you think about the way the game is shaped now, we just watched the NBA champ. We just saw it from the center spot. We just watched a center dominate from that position with his versatility. Not saying Porzingis is Jokic, but he has some of that same type of skill set, being able to put the ball on the floor to the side, shoot the 3, and do some things that we don't see 7-footers usually do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Before we move on to the next topic, I want to ask you, get your final thoughts on this one. Given where the Celtics are, given where the Eastern Conference is, all the moves that were made, I think there's still 1 or 2 moves that will be made. I'm assuming that Dame Lillard will end up in Miami, although the general manager came out and said, if it takes months, it takes months, but we're going to be patient. And then you have James Harden saying it's going to get uncomfortable. So is James Harden going to be in the Eastern Conference, or will he be in the Western Conference? Will he, get his wishes and go to LA? So with all that being said, is the Celtics, are they in prime position to lead the East? You still have the Bucks. You still have the Heat there. Like, are they in prime position?
Oh, yeah. This move continuously keeps them in that conversation. They didn't, obviously, like I said before, we love Marcus and know what he brings to the table, but you did add a dynamic scorer and Kristaps Porzingis for his size, the versatility, which the game has changed to. You keeping your core together, obviously after today and bringing Jaylen Brown back. They're right back in the mix. They're in the top 3-4 teams to get the opportunity to get to the finals. It's a matter of how they're going to mash and put it together.
They're not one. I was looking for more disruptive answer. I was looking for you to come out and say they're number 1.
Well, you got to understand, Brandon, when you want to go at my team, when I did say my team, I'm a Celtic, so I know you want to go at me and see if I could, jab at my Celtics. But like I said, I wasn't happy about the Marcus Smart move. I do like Kristaps Porzingis, and I really love him when he chose number 8. Unless we want to take it even deeper. He went number 8. So we need production out there.
You better represent
I need
it
him
well.
to be good.
Hey yo, Twan, listen, we too old to play the pause game, but I love what Mason Cameron's doing. You had 3 potential pause moments. You talked about Chris Porzingis in the rim. You said like he likes to play by the rim.
On, son. Come on.
You just said we can go longer.
Oh,
and then you
man.
just said if you really want to go deeper.
Yeah, you crazy.
Yo,
Oh no.
we can move on, but
Yeah, right. He really broke it down.
Don't ask me to be on the show when they are.
Yeah, I can't. No. Time out. No, you got to do their show. I can't wait to see you on their show. I'm setting it up. I'm putting you and
I
Killer.
saw Paul on there. I saw you and
Yeah,
Paul
Paul.
on there. I don't know if I want to go on there.
We're going to talk about that too. I think Corey wrote that into the show today. We got to talk about that, get your thoughts there. But you going to struggle on the show, bro, because we be talking so open as athletes. Like, we don't be thinking about that in the words that we use to describe our, what's going on in sports. It just sets us up for failure. It's like, I got tripped up because I'm like, now LeBron, he doesn't have to carry the load because you got this, and that. They like, what? Carry the load?
Yo, honestly, it's a perfect segue into our next topic. So the show we've been talking about, Cameron and Mace's It Is What It Is, and I can't wait to ask you this question, Antoine. They had Paul Pierce on their show, and we actually got a clip from that episode. Let's take a look at it, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
Put Shaq on my team, put LeBron and Bosh with me. I'm not going to win one? You don't think?
Ooh.
Yeah.
You got your shit on.
You put me, LeBron, and
Isaiah Thomas said.
Me, LeBron, and Bosh. We not going to win one?
Yeah.
We not going to win a couple?
Yeah.
So I'm saying,
That's
though.
true. That's true.
So I'm saying, though, like who's the better three-point shooter?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Is he a better scorer? Is he a better scorer? Okay, he averaged more points than me career. I can shoot the 3.
He's a better slasher.
I can post up. I can get to the line. Who a better scorer?
See, you know what it is, and I'm totally.
Yeah, it's just he was fancier.
Yeah,
it was just he was fancier.
No, what I'm going to say
Let's break it down.
No, well, I'm about to give you your props, but because what happened is this.
This is a good topic.
100% good topic because
Wade was better two-way though.
What happened is that Dwyane Wade is flashy. He slashes everything. And what I seen was Doc Rivers say something about you one time, and it was like preseason when y'all practice and do other things. He's like, these young boys come in there and think Paul is slow, think he can't jump, think he's not athletic, and his skill set is so amazing, that he kills them before the season even starts, and they think they're going to come in there and do that. So Dwyane Wade looks more fancy, he dunks, he jumps around, but you have a great skill set, and I'll give you that. And what you made was great points. If you had Shaq for a year, you may win a championship. If you got Bosh and LeBron, definitely gonna win a championship.
Like, come on.
Right. So,
come on now.
Whatever. Mason, you gonna say something, Murder?
Yeah.
And I don't want this to be a knock versus Wade.
No,
Wade
it's not. It's not a knock
but
versus Wade.
I was just saying, like, I think
we in the
For
barbershop.
a long time, my skills went unappreciated because I didn't get to play with a lot of great players.
Yeah.
And then I got to play with KG and Ray past their prime. Okay, if 4 years earlier you put me, Ray, and KG together, you think we ain't walking away with 3 chips?
Right.
That's real.
All right, so yeah, Antoine, it's a lot to unpack there, but I mean, there's no better person that could really answer this question because you've played, if I'm not mistaken, 5 years with Paul Pierce, played 2 years with Dwyane Wade, right?
Yeah, 2 and 3 with D-Wade.
So I mean, again, there's a whole bunch of questions I could ask you, but who, from your perspective, who better, man? Who got it? Because Paul Pierce, he's confident that he got the edge. He got the edge over D-Wade in a number of categories.
Well, I think one thing we have to realize, and I'm not. Paul is tough, man. I feel for Paul because he doesn't get his just due as one of the elite, great small forwards to ever play the game. That's true, and I think he feels that sometimes. But top to bottom, It's a tough one for me because obviously I love D Wade. I'm actually attending D Wade's Hall of Fame thing here tonight in Chicago. He's doing something tonight about his Hall of Fame introduction. But Paul's tough, man. I know people don't want to, talk about it, and D Wade is a little different in the sense that, he's won 3 titles. And I would say to the perception, the public perception, D Wade is probably more liked than Paul, if that makes sense. If I'm making any sense with that. But just me being a basketball guy, a true basketball guy, top to bottom skill set for skill set, I'm going to give a slight edge to D Wade because he's probably a better ball handler, even though it make more plays. But everything else, you can go, it's checklist off. Paul's a better 3-point shooter. Yeah. They both get to the free throw line very well. D Wade's more athletic, obviously finishes at the basket a lot better. So it's so close. If we was doing a checklist here, D Wade may edge him maybe by 1.
It's not close. Who is this guy that we're sitting with? Antoine Walker.
I'm giving you the truth. I think
he ain't give me the truth.
You underestimate. I don't want you guys to underestimate how good Paul Pierce is.
Doing that.
You are underestimating.
I said we should give him a checklist, right? Let's do it.
But you don't have to big up Paul so much, the truth so much, just because you want people to understand. You know what I'm saying? How real he was. He was the truth. But the reality is, it's not close. You can't say you're gonna give a slight edge to.
Listen, you and
Paul.
Corey, both of you guys have been in locker rooms. Both of you guys have played with great players. I'm telling you, I know work ethic. I see it every day. I see it in practice. It is very close. I'm telling you this. Paul Pierce is, with the name he gave me, he is the truth. He is the real deal. But Dwyane Wade is the truth too.
Yeah, right.
But
I know there be beef in Chicago, but I felt like especially in sports, Chicago dudes usually stay together. And the whole wide world going against Pat Beverly, and you find a way to make sure you stand up for Pat Beverly. The whole world going against Anthony Davis, and you find a way to still say something positive about Anthony Davis. And then you come out here because you play a couple more years with Paul Pierce, and you're going to say, I'm going to get the slight edge. Come on, man, Flash.
All I'm going to say this. It's closer than what you guys think.
Look,
here's what I would say. He said a lot, Corey. This is what I would say. It was a dope segment. Okay. First off, there's more to it. Okay. You had UD chime in on this conversation where he said, man, these dudes get on. And first, let me say this to everybody out there. Paul Pierce is the truth. And Twan, we do need to listen to Twan when he talks about it. It's close. It ain't like this big, it ain't like this huge gap. Now, is it like slight edge? Do I agree with, the commentary there? Do I agree with Antoine's choice of words there? I don't. I think he's making it too friendly. But the truth is the truth. That's why he got the name, okay? And he's a friend of the show. He's always blessed us. And I love hearing him. That's what I was actually going to say to you is when you think about basketball dudes that come out and keep it real, that's willing to talk about LeBron, that's willing to even knock MJ and keep it real. I think about Gilbert Arenas. I think about Paul Pierce. I think about Antoine Walker, Mr. Shimmy himself here. That's why I'm so distraught for how friendly he's been. I don't know what's happening, what's going on in his world, but he's super friendly now. And I don't get it, but I will say this though.
Go ahead.
So UD comes out and says guys come out and they jump on these podcasts and they get diarrhea of the mouth, and I do agree with that, right? Because what's happening in this space now is we all have podcasts and we want to support our brothers and we want to come on and do a great job. And it's really lax, right? Like the traditional route, all these other ABCs, NBCs, ESPNs, you go up there, you're wearing suit and ties, and you're really buttoned up. And so it's a different type of conversation. It's a different space. When you jump on these podcasts, some people smoking, some people drinking, you know what I mean? You're sitting around with your brothers. That's why it's so good, because it's just real conversation. So I feel like Paul was in a very lax situation and he said too much. Okay, and then he came out and he backtracked a little bit and he tried to clarify some of his comments, right? I'm not knocking D Wade and I'm not even trying to, compares really like that. But I was asked the question and this is how I responded to it. But when you look at the careers, because another thing that he said, Twan, that we didn't really dive into right now was you give me, the players that he had and you don't think I would have more championships? So like Shaquille O'Neal was one of the people that he mentioned, right? Okay, Shaquille O'Neal. I would go out there and say this. Well, you were on that team, right?
He was.
Yes.
Am I wrong to go out there and say this, bro, that Shaquille O'Neal was not in his prime anymore? We're talking about year 13, and Shaq went from, at the prime of his career, he averaging 27, 28 points. And now when he was with y'all, he averaging 21, 22, 20 points a game. Now, was he still dominant? Yeah, but he wasn't in his prime. Like, D-Wade did his thing.
No, he was not in his prime. And you're talking about a young D-Wade. And I played – D-Wade had one of the most exciting finals that we've seen from an individual. I think he averaged 35, 36. We can fact check that and make sure I'm right. But he averaged like between 34 and 36 a night in the finals. And he was unbelievable. So
right.
I speak from that side of it and watching him perform and being with a young D-Wade and carry us. You know what I mean? Be playing 3 years with him. I watched him carry us. I watched him do his work. I watched what type of player he was. But I also played with Paul. See, that's the unique advantage that I have over a lot of people that sitting here talking and just watching two different jerseys. I watched Paul. I watched how Paul carried us. I stood down. When Paul came in, I knew he was a better scorer than me. I knew he can get to the free throw line. I knew he knew his mid-range game was better than mine. I stood down and allowed him to be the leading scorer and I was the B. We always say he was option A, I was option B. And I had no problem with that because that's what his skill set was. I think sometimes people like D-Wade also has a better, and this is where these conversations get a lot real tricky. Sometimes people like guys off the court, and that makes you say, well, he's better. I'm talking about grit basketball, get in the gym, and it's really close. I'm just speaking from basketball and getting in the gym and playing and knowing the game, just like you guys know. You guys know some guys that you in football, and you being a receiver, you like, man, he's nice, but maybe he may have a better offensive line or a better quarterback than you got. All those things factor when you talk about that. But I know basketball itself, they're very close.
Okay. All right, so let's do this real quick before we move on.
Mm-hmm. You remember Paul Pierce in the Eastern Conference Finals against LeBron James going neck to neck?
Oh, the truth. The truth.
Yeah, like you said, the truth.
I love those matchups. Not only that, but even when he used to guard Kobe Bryant.
Okay, then, so let's not discredit that.
Now you gotta.
So let me ask you this.
He showed up in the big moments.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Let's take the NBA out of it. Let's take the championships out of it. Let's take the commentary out of it. Okay, let's meet and give me your most legendary park in the country. Where you want to hoop? You want to go to Rutgers or someplace in Chicago? I don't know if there's a place in Cali. Like where we going?
How about with that New York talk with me, man? I'm from Southside.
All right, give me a gym. Give me a park where we gonna meet.
We can meet. We can take it back to the legendary Hoops gym when MJ came back. That was some of the best runs.
Hoops. I think Hoops started I feel like Hoops started in Atlanta. Paul, remember Hoops running shoot. Them 24-hour gyms, those runs was crazy.
Yeah.
I can take it to the hood where we all played before Hoop Star. We played in Leclerc Courts. That's in Chicago.
Okay, that's where I want to go. So let's take all the commentary, let's take all the NBA stats and all of that analysis out of it. Let's go right where you just said, okay? You got D-Wade and you got the truth. So you got Flash and you got the truth. We got 3 games to 11, one-on-one. Tell me how this goes. Because this is getting to it. This is getting to it now. One-on-one.
I think Paul beats him.
Oh.
So he the better guy then. So if that's the truth, then he is the better guy.
No, I think Paul beats him in a one-on-one. I think Paul can post. I think mid-range. Paul, it's just one-on-one basketball.
He's gonna kill him in the post.
Than playing the team concept. Totally different. Totally different.
My goodness.
I can see Paul Pierce beating Dwyane Wade in one-on-one.
Hey, listen, I'm not waiting to the post-production meeting. See, Twan, you be gone. You be on the boat somewhere already enjoying y'all 25 days of summer, y'all 25 great days in Chicago. Not saying the other days is not bad. See, we didn't even get there. Like, I do believe in all seasons. I'm a type of guy. I embrace the winter in Chicago. But when we get into these post-production meetings, you're already on your boat. You're enjoying Lake Michigan, right? But clip that. Antoine Walker said that Paul Pierce beats Dwyane Wade one-on-one.
Yeah, I think if you playing one-on-one, I think he probably beats him one-on-one. Yeah, he beats him. And when I just think about if you talking about Poe, he's gonna be able to post him up a little bit. Yeah, use his size. You know, Dwyane like 6'3", Paul like 6'7", 6'8".
Paul ain't no 6'7", 6'8". Stop it, Paul. Y'all
Paul like
basketball.
6'6".
Why y'all do that? Let's talk about that real quick. Why y'all do that in basketball? On paper, y'all 7 feet, but when you see him in person, they really 6'8". Paul Pierce ain't no 6'7",
Well, you know,
6'8".
where it
Stop
depends.
it.
You know, it's two heights you get at the combine. Shoes off, shoes on.
That was safe to say that was his shoes on height, huh?
Yeah, shoes off, shoes on. You get two different heights,
bro.
No, you get two different heights. I was 6'10" with shoes on.
See what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? This is what I'm talking about, Corey.
I'm legit,
numbers,
like,
don't believe
I'm 6'1.5", like probably, but I'm 6'10" with my shoes on.
Yeah, get himself a 3-inch height difference
Yeah,
on the roster.
But honestly, it's a great conversation, those two guys. But it's really hard because they play two different positions.
Mm-hmm.
They really do. Dwyane is a pure two guard, and Paul Pierce is a true small forward.
Yeah, small
so there's two different positions. But I hate when people try to downplay how good Paul Pierce really is. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
Dwyane is great. I'm going tonight to celebrate my brother getting into the Hall of Fame. I'm so excited for him. He deserves it. Paul deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I think they're two different positions. I think, obviously, Paul, you like that. You want to put a pause moment on that, huh?
That's why he's smiling like that,
huh? I mean, we're not going to turn paper route into pauses.
Yeah.
Okay, we're not going to do it.
We're not turning paper route into pauses. We're not going to do that. We're going to keep.
Okay, we're going to keep it high level.
We're going to keep it high level.
Listen, but I will say this. I'm gonna make it real uncomfortable for you tonight. See, that's what I'm talking about. You went against your Chicago brother. You talking about you gonna go celebrate D-Wade tonight. So what we need to do is please get this clip out within 45 minutes because I want when he walks into D-Wade's Hall of Fame ceremony, party, whatever this is, for everybody to just look at him like, bro, you just said you rocking with the truth. You can't be in this room right now.
Me and D-Wade go way back, man. We won a chip together. We from the Shy, man. This everything is already. We already locked tight, man. You can't break the Chicago.
What is it? A dinner? Is it in Chicago? Is there a dinner? What's happening?
No, it's to honor him making the Hall of Fame. It's like a party dinner. It's not even dinner. It's more or less like a party celebrating. I think he's got some other stuff.
Be dope.
Yeah, I think he's got some other stuff going on this week, but I'm looking forward to going out and just telling him congratulations. I mean, I was obviously play with him, and this is the highest honor, man. You know that when guys make the Hall of Fame, we got so much respect for them and the work they put in.
Big deal.
So yeah, it's a huge deal. So I'm happy to see him tonight.
Yeah.
Salute to Flash, man, and the truth. We can move on now.
Yeah.
But clip that. Make sure y'all clip that though. Make it uncomfortable for him tonight.
Hey. Well, speaking of uncomfortable, I want to get your thoughts on this, Antoine, before you go. James Harden, right? He sent out a post on Instagram recently, and the message said, "It's time to." No. He said, "Been comfortable for so long. It's time to get uncomfortable." I really want to get your thoughts on this situation now. I mean, we've been following James Harden. Of course, he declined his player option. He's requested a trade.
No, he didn't decline it. He picked it up.
Oh, is that what it was? And so he picked it up in efforts to get signed and then possibly get sent out. So and he's come out and said, right, that he wants to go to the Clippers. But right now, I just want to get your thoughts on this situation in general. And also, what does he mean by this? He wants to, it's time to get uncomfortable.
Well, I think for him, I think he's hitting it. Listen, I have the utmost respect for James Harden. I believe James Harden is going to be a Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer. But I just think he has such a unique style that he plays. It's hard to, and he's won, actually, when you think about it, he's won a lot of games. He's been in a lot of meaningful games. Yeah. But to win a championship is hard because you got to put unique pieces around him because of his style of play. He's very ball dominant. He's going to eat up a lot of the shot clock. He's not your typical spot-up three-point shooter. But he also is one of the best one-on-one players that we've had in this league ever. Yep. So it makes it really hard. But it's really hard to play with him. So I think that's what all the problems come in with James, because he's not a perfect fit really for anybody unless you're giving him a team where he's just option 1A. with Philly, he's not option 1A. You got the MVP on your team, Embiid, that you have to go to first. And I think now trying to get to the Clippers, where Kawhi Leonard's a little bit more, I would say, would accept more of a B role, even though we know Kawhi Leonard's an A player.
Mm-hmm.
But he wouldn't mind that. I think James is trying to find that fit, but it's really not a perfect fit for him. He's had to make a lot of sacrifices, which I think he did in Philly by leading the league in assists and changing his game up. But it's sacrifices that he has to make to his game, and he's getting older now. So a lot of coaches are reluctant probably to just give him the full mantle and say, we're going to go through you and let you get 30 a night. Not saying he's not capable of it. He's shown flashes to have big nights. But I just think he's such a unique and dynamic player that's really hard to put him with certain people. And that's why I think we having such a hard time finding the right fit for James Harden or even picking a team for him. That's why everybody's like, well, maybe we just need to stay in Philly. They've had some success and play with Embiid. Because you got to think about it. Can you imagine him playing off the ball? You guys watch basketball. Can you play off the ball?
Don't work.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work.
That's what I'm saying. So I just think it's just it's hard to find the right fit with him. And we got to figure out how much he got left in the tank at the level, at Hall of Fame level.
Right.
You know, maybe maybe 2 years max.
So there's a lot that you said there, Twan, and even James Harden said a lot in such few words through a tweet, right? And so you really have to understand how the last 3-4 years have gone for James Harden, not just on the court, but also from a business perspective. So we got to go back to the Houston days. He wanted out of Houston and he wanted to go to Brooklyn. He wanted to play specifically with KD and Kyrie because there was conversation there. If we ship James Harden to you, then we want Kyrie. And he stood on the table and he said, no, I'm not coming. That's a true story, okay? And I respect James Harden for that. And during that process, right, that's where, I was on FS1. This is actually where me and Twan really became close because, both contributors there. He's a basketball guy, I'm a football guy, and then we did a little crossover work where he talked a little football and I talked a little basketball. And so during that time, Twan, if you remember, right, like I was standing on the table saying, this is how athletes need to operate. Like Saquon Barkley wouldn't be in this position. We wouldn't have spent 20 minutes earlier to start this show talking about Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs if they were willing to get uncomfortable. How did James Harden make it uncomfortable for them, right? He didn't show up, right? He was out partying the day before, like in Vegas. He came in overweight, out of shape. He wasn't talking to his teammates. He made it so uncomfortable for Boogie Cousins and John Wall. Y'all forget those days? Boogie Cousins and John Wall trying to get their careers on track. They're coming with James Harden coming off of an MVP season, I believe, or maybe 2 years removed from it. This is James Harden, the beard, who's like the face of the NBA. And they're coming there saying like, yo, we're going to get our career on track and we're going to establish our own victory. And so they're excited. What happened? They came out in a press conference and said, get this guy out of here. When they started speaking out publicly from his actions in practice, I think he got into it with teammates. That's when everybody said, okay, it's time to move on. He made it uncomfortable, okay? More athletes need to be willing to not maybe go to that extreme and that far, but you got to make it uncomfortable for organizations to really respect you, okay? So the whole conversation during that time, everybody out there in media was saying it's uncomfortable, 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 uncomfortable. So what he's saying is he's about to do the same thing. He came out. We seen the pictures when they were in the Hamptons. The whole Black Hollywood was out there in the Hamptons at Michael Rubin's party. From Jay-Z to James Harden, even Joel Embiid, and also the owner of the 76ers, not Michael Rubin sold. So they're taking pictures. They're kikiing. So they're talking like, yeah, I asked for my trade. We're going to try to do this from a professional way. Nothing's happening. He wants to get to L.A., right? So that's what he's saying. So obviously things is breaking down internally. They thought they were going to do this, the right way. And James Harden saying, y'all not moving fast enough. And that's why he's making these comments, because he's pushing the 76ers to actually get something done. He's not willing to wait months. And that's what's happening for me. That's how I see it, Antoine.
No, you're right. But I just think, I think with James Harden, he's trying to finish his career the right way. But he's such a unique player, his style, man. So every team is not going to want to play that way. You're not going to have a guy that wants to dribble 17, 18 times and play that way. You got to have so that's another thing. So you kind of put yourself in the box. Is that something T. Lue wants? Does he want a guy like James Harden who's got to pound it 17, 18 times at the shot clock to make a decision? You know what I mean? And that's something. So I think that's where the market kind of shrinks for him. I think skill set, every team loves him. Any team would not love him because what he brings to the table when he's at his best, he's one of the best players in this league. But I think his style of play is such a unique style. You got to have the right pieces around him that can fit with him. And a lot of teams obviously don't have time for that. Obviously, this guy's in his prime and getting close to past his prime. So a lot of teams don't have time to wait to build the team around him. That's why you see the teams that he's on. Philly's already there. You look at the Clippers, already has pieces already in play. So those type of teams can have him. But I just think he handicaps himself a little bit because he hasn't been willing to play different type of styles to fit in. When you want to win championships, you have to change your game. Every superstar's done it to play with other superstars, and that's when they've able to be successful. And you can take the big three. We just talked about D. Wade, Bosh, and LeBron. All those guys have to sacrifice. Those were all A guys on teams where they were the number one option on their team, but they all took a sacrifice role to get the common goal to win a championship. That's the problem with James Harden. Is he willing to do what is necessary to play with other good players to win? And it hasn't been done.
And the answer is no. And the answer is no, Twan. And listen, this is the last thing I'll say before I let you go. I don't know what's happening in your world, right? Like, I don't know if you got like grandbabies now. Like, you have any grandbabies? Did you just have a grandbaby?
No,
or something?
man, don't be putting that on me. No, I
just don't like for real. Like, cause something's happening, right? Like, I don't, like it's just like you're becoming like this big teddy bear. And so
I think sometimes I'm giving you a real basketball synopsis of this situation that you got to understand. If you want to have a debate, if you want to be first take and be a debate show, and that's what you want to be, and do paper out to be that, then we can do that too. But
no, that's not what I want. This is all I'm saying.
I'm just giving you a basketball. I'm
there's
not to basketball. Look at it. I'm telling you, the man has the man.
You're on mute. You can't hear you.
Yeah.
Somebody's calling you. Somebody blowing you up. Somebody trying to get you on that boat. We can't hear you. Can you talk? Let me see.
Yeah, do we got Antoine?
Oh. See? No, we can't. We don't have Antoine. Keep talking, bro. We're going to get you right.
Yeah, right.
We want you to make sure you have your words.
We got to hear this, huh?
I don't want no beef, no smoke.
Uh-huh.
Won't you drop your Zoom and then come back in, Twan? Try it again. Come back in.
So we got to finish this one.
Yeah, so this is what I'm gonna say. Yeah, we got to finish this, right? And I'm gonna hold what I'm gonna say here. So he has the proper space and time to respond. No, I don't want the show to be first take. Maybe kind of. I think there's an opportunity for us to get into some debate. You know what I'm saying? I think that naturally happens in a locker room. Like, this show is a locker room, right? Like, me and Twan, we could be at dinner. You put 4 or 5 athletes in the room, and naturally these conversations happen, right? Everybody got different perspectives, and I just got to be honest. Like, Twan is a guy. If you look at his broadcasting career, he never holds back. Twan has never been that guy. Okay, and I'm not saying he's doing it now.
Yeah, right.
That's not what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? And guys are afraid to do that. That's the first question that these executives ask athletes when they're transitioning into TV. How do you feel about talking about guys that you played against or guys that you played for? Coaches, owners, right? Because we have so many relationships, and you got to protect these relationships. You know how many guys are pissed off at me or don't rock with me anymore because I gave a thought on their current situation as active athletes? And I'm talking about, you talk about strategic, very strategic, very aware of what I am saying, right? I'm going out there and I might say, like, okay, you got 2 wide receivers here. And they, Brandon, what do you think about this? And I'm like, I wouldn't do it. They get pissed off at me because I say I wouldn't do it.
Right.
Bro, when I'm telling you 2 years, 3 years go by, and these dudes won't respond, don't talk, and then I don't even know what's going on. They watch this stuff. Players are sensitive.
Yeah, and
You know what I'm
they
saying?
just
It's
keep
very
shut and just
close.
let it stay.
Antoine back? Is he close? What's going on with Antoine?
So we actually got a message from Antoine. It says it looks like we're not going to be able to get him back. He says his phone went down. So yeah, that
okay, cool. So this is what I would say before I go, and then we can clip this. We can send it to him. We can bring him back on the show.
Right.
We can finish this debate. Okay, we can finish this conversation. But I love Antoine's basketball approach. I love his approach, period. I even love talking football with Antoine. Antoine is one of those guys, those athletes, super dynamic. He can talk all sports, right? Yeah. Like there's not a lot of guys that can do that. And I love Twan for that. And that's why we are able to work together now. Like I was able to experience that for a whole year on FS1, working with Antoine, Corey. Yeah. But this is my thing. The truth of the matter around James Harden is this. You know, and this is what I felt like Twan should have said. He's not capable of going out there and actually adjusting to all the other things that's happening to become a champion. The answer is no. Point blank, period. Woo, can you look up how many years James Harden has been in the league? And this is why I say no, because I don't think it has anything to do with what's happening on the court. I think it's a lifestyle thing. And I hate to talk about players this way. This is me understanding, like, you know, if James Harden see this, right? Yeah, right. You know, he might be like, nah, I ain't never going on paper route. But the reality of the matter is, it's like, bro, like, dude, he likes to have fun. And as an athlete, like my coach used to say this, and this is my number one saying and quote that I live by. I live by this. Coach DJ McCarthy gave this to me and all the receivers in college at the University of Central Florida. The reward is greater than the sacrifice. And as an athlete, you have to make so many sacrifices in life to become a champion or just to reach your full potential. Corey, how many times have you missed the family reunions or the family vacations because you had a camp or you had practice or you had a tournament, right? That's a sacrifice that athletes have to make. We're talking about athletes making that sacrifice at the age of 10 and 11 years old, bro. I'm not talking about in the league. I'm talking about your whole life. How many times have athletes gone to dinners and they can't really eat and indulge because they got to make weight the next day? You can't drink. You can't do certain things. Sacrifice. It's a lifestyle. And that's my thing with James Harden is it doesn't seem like he's willing to make the type of sacrifice needed to become a true champion. Yeah. Like point blank, period. Like, let's talk about it.
By the way,
like, there's a sacrifice. There's a level of intentionality, level of detail. Think about what Tom Brady said when he was mulling retirement before he retired. He said, I need to think about this because the hard part is like, you got to be all in. Yeah. And I got to make sure that I'm willing to go all in and make the proper sacrifices to give my team and my teammates what they need to be great. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the question we always have with James Harden, right? Like, is he fully committed?
I got a little bit more meat on the bone.
Do you? Go ahead.
I just want to let you know, B, it's been 14 years since James been in the league.
14 years. What are we talking about here? What are we talking about? There's a sacrifice that athletes have to make. Yep. Sleep. Like, that's one. Like, we're talking about fundamentals. Athletes can't be up at 1, 2, 3 in the morning every single. I'm not saying this is about James Harden. I'm just talking. This is just the sacrifice period because I don't know James Harden. I don't live with James Harden. These are just outside looking in. These are some of the things people say, that publicly on ESPNs of the world, FS1s of the world, right? Yep. So for me, just as an athlete, like, you can't be a high-performing athlete, a championship athlete, but you out in the clubs every single night. You can't be a high-performing athlete. You can't be a champion if you drinking and putting drugs in your body every single night. And this has nothing to do with James Harden. Yeah. It has nothing to do with James Harden. So I don't want anybody to say, like, Brandon Marshall saying James Harden. I'm not doing that. Not doing that. But there's a sacrifice that athletes have to make. It's uncomfortable. Bro, when I think about it last night, this is the last thing I would say, Corey. All right? And then just a bone. It'll just be a bone. No more meat on it. Okay. Bro, I look at my career. I look back on my career now. Like, I'm in this phase of reflection, right? Like, the first couple years, return, moving on. It's like a blur to me, right? Like, I transitioned right into I am athlete in the house of athlete, and I'm fulfilled, right? Like, I feel really good about what I'm building. I'm blessed. It's an honor to be in this position. Not a lot of athletes have a transition plan. Not a lot of athletes have an opportunity to actually climb another mountain, right? Talk about that second mountain, doing something epic in another space, another industry, right? You're young, you're 35, you're 36. What are you going to do for the rest of your life, right? So now I'm in this space now where I'm like, okay, like, damn, I played 13 years in the National Football League. Like, damn, like, you know, I did some cool things. But the thing that comes up when I reflect on playing ball, bro, is like, yo, that was brutal.
Yeah.
How the hell did I do that? The sacrifices that I had to make. We're talking about just every night. Like, we're not, it's not just like, oh, you're choosing not to go to the club, you're choosing to go to sleep. No, that's not what's happening. You're still up at 11 o'clock at night. You got stem, ice, you got dry needling, you got massage therapist, chiropractor. It's a 24-hour job. I'm like, how the hell did I live in that space for 13 years at that level? Think about LeBron James, the sacrifices he's making, investing $1 million. That is the benchmark for all athletes. Show me your P&Ls. Show me your account. I want to see how much money you've invested into your body. I don't care about what the team is providing. I want to see how much you invested into a chiropractor, how much you invested into dry needling, how much you invested into all these gurus, MAT, ART, how much you've invested into nutrition, how much you've invested into massage therapy. Like, that's what I want to see. What specialist are you flying in? This is a huge check that you have to write. You got to think athletes are walking corporations. I always say this to athletes, right? Like, and I don't know why I use Kmart. Like, some people don't even know what Kmart is. It's like Target before Target.
Yeah, right.
It's Walgreens. I mean, Walmart before Walmart. Like, we used to grow up on Kmart and go in there and put stuff on layaway. People don't even know what layaway is. But anyways, I use Kmart as an example all the time. I don't know why. I don't know if it's trauma. I don't know if it's my childhood experiences. But you are Kmart. Kmart goes out there and they have to invest millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars to get the return that they get. So Kmart might not be the example anymore because they went out of business. Let's talk about Walmart. How much money does the Walmarts of the world, the Amazons of the world, the Nikes of the world, the Gatorades of the world, the Beats by Dre's of the world actually spend to make 20, 30%? So as athletes, we have to think the same way. How much am I investing to get this $10 million? How much am I investing to get $20, $30 million? Jaylen Brown, how much money did he have to invest in his body to actually get this 5-year, $304 million deal that turns out to be on an average of $61 million a year? I would say that it's north of $400,000, $500,000. You have LeBron James coming out saying I invest $1 million. You have Russell Wilson saying I'm coming out and I'm investing $1 million a year in my body, right? Yep. And so I say all that because that's how athletes need to operate, okay? And I'm not sure if the James Hardens of the world, right, are investing that type of money and making that type of sacrifice. And sorry for everybody out there that have to listen to me every once in a while, maybe once a week, to go on these rants. I'm sorry, Woo. I'm sorry, Corey. But Ashley's not here. She'll be back tomorrow. So I won't have as much time and much space to go on these epic rants.
Is that what it is?
But I'm used to it. I'm used to it. My entire career. Brandon Marshall, loudmouth. Brandon Marshall, outspoken. Brandon Marshall, malcontent. Like, what? Every other day they throwing a new word on me. I had to Google. Google became my best friend. Like, what the hell is malcontent?
Right.
What are they talking about?
Research.
And then it was like stuff I didn't understand. Like, why y'all telling me I'm outspoken and a loudmouth? I'm just saying what's on my mind. Like, athletes, like, people don't speak. Y'all want. So what y'all want me to do? Y'all want every day y'all come to practice, or after every game y'all got 20 cameras in my face. Which do you want me to give you the real answer, or do you want me to give you some political? Yeah, we lost the game, and it's on all of us. We got to just go back, watch film, and get back to the drawing board and try to correct our mistakes for next week. That's what you want?
That's what they want.
We don't want that. That's dry news.
Right.
What we want is athletes to keep it real. But when athletes keep it real, guess what they do? Oh my goodness, he's a distraction. Oh my goodness, he's this and that. And now you got athletes shutting down. Now you got people like Marshawn Lynch saying, "I'm just here so I don't get fined. I ain't giving y'all nothing."
Yeah.
Like, what y'all want, media? You tell me, Corey. Sorry, I'm done. I digress.
He said they got to make up their mind. Huh?
I digress.
Wait, well said. Well said.
Yeah, right.
Listen, it's Corey. It's Corey in the cut. I got B Marsh with me. I got Woo out west, BC in the booth, and Mysterious Manor Legend. So mysterious that I don't even think we've nailed his nickname yet.
No, too mysterious for that.
Yeah, but hey, we're going to take a break right quick. But when we come back, we're going to talk to Josh Allen.
So now y'all want to take a break. We need a break. We need to let it air out.
Yeah, for real. We need to take our breath after that.
Take everything in.
Yeah, we're going to talk Josh Allen, Buffalo Bills. Hey, is this year's Super Bowl a bust for the Buffalo Bills? And free agent running back Dalvin Cook said that the Bills aren't out of the picture. So we'll hit all of that when we come back.
So when I first got in the league, when I was in Denver, we had all these. DJ Williams used to be on the show. He was the one passing around the Vialis.
Cialis and
the Cialis.
That's different.
Whatever it's called. Cialis, Vialis. But we wasn't doing Viagra. So what happens is they was passing them out before the game. We was taking them because when it thins out your blood, energy, and you go longer.
I'm not talking about Cialis, and I'm talking about actual surgery.
Oh, what you saying?
Yeah, like enlargement.
Yeah,
surgery.
that's what I'm talking about, enlargement.
People be really doing that.
Yes.
I ain't know nothing about that.
No, see, y'all, listen. Y'all talking about something that's gonna keep it right for 36 hours.
Yeah.
Now, his mother take that shit, they can be that way forever.
Oh my God.
In the league?
That's how you get suspended.
NBA?
That's how you get suspended.
People do that in the NBA?
Y'all
6'7", 6'8", I thought like.
What does that have to do with anything?
Is that a pause?
That's a major pause.
I'm just saying.
That's major.
I never heard of that.
That was kind of
He said the shoe size and that size are not clicking.
Ain't no OD.
Let's skip that
Ain't
part
no
right
OD.
there.
You heard he said I'm corny.
Let's get back to the basketball.
I'm secure in my manhood. Tell me I'm sorry.
Don't have surgery.
This is really happening right now?
Brandon. Like what? Yes.
Bro, let me tell you. Ain't nobody getting suspended for taking Cialis.
But what's the problem? But okay, let's say they doing that. What you say they doing it. What's wrong with that? Why they gotta be suspended over that? If they feel like they need to be
because it has something in there.
Yes.
It has a steroid in there.
Ingredient in
Same
it.
way
It's
if
a
you
steroid
take a
ingredient.
Okay.
a steroid.
Okay.
It's no different than in the NFL. I forget the player, but there was a player who was
I can't think of their names.
trying to conceive with his wife, and she was going through, I want to say, in vitro, and she was going through the fertilization of her eggs, and he was on medication to, I think, increase his testosterone. Wasn't doing it to increase his performance. It was to have a baby, and he got suspended because the ingredient in there still comes up in a test.
Remember what Eddie Murphy said on Golden Child?
What he
They
said?
tried to sell him that stuff to help keep the yang up. What that boy say? Ain't nothing wrong with my yang.
So, like I said before the break, the Buffalo Bills, well, we're going to talk about the Buffalo Bills, but they, the vets, they report to training camp today, and their first practice is scheduled for tomorrow, Wednesday, July 26th. I want to talk about these Bills, though, right? Because ESPN is giving the Bills a 44% chance of winning the AFC East. And we've been talking about this whole offseason about how loaded really the AFC East is, considering they got the Bills, the Dolphins.
Is that a pause?
How loaded?
How loaded the division is? I don't know about that one, sir.
Antoine said we can't turn paper out.
Right.
It is what it is.
Yeah, we gonna be
a question. It was just a question.
There, just a question. But you know, they got the Bills, Jets, Patriots are trying to form their team, but they also got the Dolphins. But they're giving the Bills the best chance to win the division. They also have the fourth best odds to win the Super Bowl. That is according to ESPN. But Josh Allen, he's entering year 6, and I mean, you know, I was gonna save this question, but is it Super Bowl or bust really for these Buffalo Bills going into this training camp? You know, it's gonna be, I think, year 3 now, or year 2, excuse me, with the offense coordinator Ken Dorsey. The offense, you know, is hoping to have their best year, you know, with Josh Allen. What is it? What's this season, you know, for the Buffalo Bills?
No. When I think about Super Bowl or bust, Corey, I think about teams that like have it all.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? The Buffalo Bills, to me, they're contenders.
Mm-hmm.
They're a team that everyone believe can make it to the Super Bowl, but understand that it's difficult because you have Joe Burrow in the conference, and you have Patrick Mahomes, and now you even have Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
So I think what I heard you say there, their odds, they're sitting, at fourth and at 44% chance to win a division, whatever. I hear those numbers, but at the end of the day, like, I don't think it's Super Bowl or bust. Super Bowl or bust for me is like, what teams are like Super Bowl or bust? I think the Cincinnati
Dolphins?
Bengals
Like
will
the
be
Bengals
there
might
in
be
about
at that
2
point.
years.
Well, because the
but
question,
not now, but
yeah,
about
you
a
don't
year
think
or
the
two,
Dolphins,
but about
though?
a year or two, and then also the Philadelphia Eagles, right? They have everything.
yeah, right.
The Philadelphia Eagles have a quarterback, you have a passing game, you have a running game, you have a defense, you have coaching, you have the best. It seems like the best front office in all of football.
Yeah.
What Laurie has been able to do, not Laurie, the gentleman, the president, general manager, what he's been able to do. You got the whole NFL pissed off at him. Like, how you gonna get mad at their front office for being creative and making moves?
Yeah.
Everybody's like, oh, it's not fair what they're doing. Well, you do it. They're not breaking any rules.
Right.
So I don't think it's Super Bowl or bust for the Buffalo Bills. And when you really look at it, it's like, yo, will you guys even be third? You guys are fighting for, to me, y'all, I hate to say this because I'm a big fan of Josh Allen. I'm a big fan of Stephon Diggs. I'm a big fan of this head coach. But, like, when I look at this division, and I don't know why people seem to be overlooking the Jets. Like, yeah, they're talking about it. The Jets are always going to be talked about. They're in New York, the biggest media market in all of sports, one of the biggest media markets in just the world, period, entertainment. And now you insert, pause, no pause, some of the biggest names, Sauce Gardner, you got Jarrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. So there's going to be talk there, but people don't even have them on their top 5 as far as contenders. How?
Yeah.
You're fourth in defense, total defense. And now you have Aaron Rodgers. Like, how are you not in the top 5? So now you got, to me, they're number 1 in the division. They're a team to beat, and I don't care what anybody say. And then the Dolphins, like, I get it. Tua, the concussions, injury. Is he going to make it or not make it? Even if he, like, worst case scenario, and I hate to say this because, like head trauma, like, you just don't play with that. We can talk about ACLs, ankles, and all of that, but this is the reality.
Yeah.
I like Mike White. I like their backup.
Yeah.
And then the biggest acquisition this whole offseason was the Dolphins not getting Jalen Ramsey, not getting a great backup quarterback. It was going to get their defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
So, to me, the Dolphins are – the Dolphins, they might win a division.
Yeah.
And that's hard for me to say as a Jet fan and a fan of what the Jets have done. So they're 2.
Yep.
And then, we really counting Bill Belichick out. They say he's on the hot seat. You had Troy Aikman on Monday. He was like, that's what they're saying.
Yeah, right.
So what are we going to get out of that? What are we going to get out of Mac Jones in this year? Now he has an offensive coordinator in Bill O'Brien. This is going to be an exciting division. This is going to be an exciting year in football. So many storylines. So to talk about contender, we need to talk about, can we win a division?
The division, yeah. Well, to compete with those 2 teams that you mentioned, right, the Dolphins and the Jets, where do you feel they need to improve? Because you say you don't want to consider this team a Super Bowl or bust, but I mean they have been right there. I feel like they get to that divisional round, they're in a close game. Yeah, the Bills. Yeah, they get to that divisional round, they're in those close games, but they can't make it happen. And we've said, Josh Allen, he's arguably a top 3 quarterback, right? Top 4 quarterback in the NFL. So, I say it might be Super Bowl or bust because there might be some massive changes needed. Or like you let me know, Brandon, but like where do you feel they need to improve? Is it on the offensive side? Do they need to add a whole bunch of pieces on the defensive side, some superstar caliber players? Like where is it do they need to be able to compete with the Dolphins and the Jets?
This is what I would say, Corey, and this is the reality of professional sports. Sometimes you run against some giants and you just can't defeat the giants. Not everyone is David.
Yeah.
Okay? You got Goliath in the AFC.
You do.
Patrick Mahomes is him. And you got another giant in the AFC in Joe Burrow. Real deal.
Yeah.
Okay? So, like, you can go out there and give your best. We've seen that and still come up short. Don't forget about that legendary game. What was it? The Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills, and they still came up short. It was a freaking light show.
Right.
And it just sometimes it's like that's how the cookie crumbles. So like when you ask what do they do, like I'm looking at it, right? Like, you know, the running game, they improved there. Defensively last year, they improved at, you know, stopping the run. They improved. They brought in Von Miller, being able to put pressure. He obviously went down halfway through the year with an ACL. He's back. So you're able to get at the quarterback. They played super efficient, a bend but don't break defense. You lose Leslie Frazier. So, you know, what's going to happen there? Are they going to miss a beat on defense and you know, the type of momentum that they've created over the last 2 years? I don't know. But offensively, you can run the ball, you can throw the ball. So it's like you got to get your best shot. I think to me, it's coming down to just like luck, attrition, right? Like, you know, one of these quarterbacks or one of these, you know, superstars that they're going head to head with, deal with, you know, some type of hamstring issue. Like, I don't know. Would a coach make a terrible call in a high pressure situation? Like, these teams have to be perfect to come out the AFC. So, Corey, to me, it's not about the Buffalo Bills. It's about everyone else. Like, I like the Buffalo Bills. I like Josh Allen. Josh Allen is him. He's like that.
Yeah.
But, man, look around, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't forget about those.
Answer your question.
No.
Go ahead,
I was
just going to say, don't forget about those second-tier quarterbacks in the AFC. You got Lamar.
Was the first one.
You got his name slips me, from Jacksonville.
Trevor Lawrence.
Yep, and then you also have Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
Like, this is just one division.
AFC is loaded. AFC side is loaded. But
and look, why you going to disrespect? And you still being disrespectful.
What's up?
You ain't going to name Russell Wilson?
Oh.
Like, no Russell Wilson?
Sorry, I wasn't looking that far down.
He is in a, you said I wasn't looking that far down. That ain't go over my head.
You are disrespectful.
That ain't go over my head.
What?
Well, look, does this change things a little bit, Brandon? Because free agent running back Dalvin Cook, he shared on the Rich Eisen show that the Buffalo Bills actually aren't out of the question, out of the picture yet. The Dolphins and the Jets are two teams that have come up, but Dalvin Cook actually said that he hasn't even received offers from them. But he's still considering his offer from the Buffalo Bills. Adding a guy like Dalvin Cook, does that boost the Bills maybe into that next tier of like contention, with teams like the Jets and the Dolphins?
Listen, it gives you depth.
Okay.
It gives you another superstar, more explosive plays, more explosive players. But again, like I'm looking at it, right? Like if you go to the NFL 2022 team stats, and then you click on offense, and then you click on rushing, right? The Buffalo Bills are sitting here at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're sitting here at the seventh slot, which makes them the seventh best rushing offense in football. Okay,
yeah,
that's really good.
That is good.
They're averaging 5.2 yards a carry, 139.5 yards a game. That's great ball, especially when you're really a passing team.
Yeah. Well, remember, a good percentage of that is actually coming from the quarterback. So to answer your question,
correct,
you bringing in Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
Like,
well, look,
can he add to that? Does that make you a top 5, top 4? Like, you're already efficient.
Yeah.
Well, you're already doing a great job with the run game.
You know what a worry of a lot of people is that Josh Allen needs to stop running.
Correct.
And if you really look at those stats, it's kind of skewed because he actually makes up 40% of it. He actually had the most rushing touchdowns on that team last year. They said outside of Josh Allen,
7.
Yeah, outside of Josh Allen, he had 7, and then outside of Josh Allen, there were 7 touchdowns between all of the running backs in the running back room. No, and
8.
That's including,
you're right.
A receiver.
You're right.
That's including a receiver.
It was a one receiver, yeah.
So that's a problem. I think if you can add a Dalvin Cook or add just another back, I do like the pickup of Damian Harris. I think people are sleeping on him. He's a really good running back. Came from the Patriots. But if you can add a Dalvin Cook, they got Latavius Murray. He's pretty, he's aging. But if you can add a Dalvin Cook, because they just lost Naheem Hines, and obviously sending our thoughts, not condolences, I stand corrected from earlier in the show. Our condolences, but sending our thoughts rather to Nyheim Hines. He suffered an injury, in a jet ski accident. But that takes away a running back out of that running back room.
Yeah.
So you had a Dalvin Cook, then that again takes some off of Josh Allen in the running game, and then you also have an all-pro caliber running back. I think that, as a Dolphins fan, I don't want to see that happen.
If I was a Bills fan, I would be happy. Just because I terrify every time he jumps over that puddle or someone going to tackle him.
Mm-hmm.
You never know, man. One hit, that's it.
Yeah. Do you think that's something that the Bills potentially need to consider? Yeah, taking a load off of Josh Allen in the running game?
Yeah, listen, I don't always lead with stats, but I like stats, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think, it tells a different part of the story. Okay, so let me do this, right? Because, Corey, you brought up a phenomenal point, right?
Yeah.
Not always right here when I go on these rants. I don't always paint the full picture.
Yeah.
Phenomenal job bringing up Josh Allen. I totally missed that. I'm just looking at just offensively, as a team.
Mm-hmm.
That is a huge problem for Josh Allen to make up 40% of their rushing attack.
Yep.
You're a quarterback, but that's what makes them so dynamic. But eventually, you're going to go down. We see it all the time, right? The more you tote the rock, the more you touch the ball, your percentage of getting injured goes up, right? That's when we're talking about the running back market. That's the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
You're running the ball so much, eventually you get hurt, and then your production slips. So that's a big deal. So it definitely changes the conversation. And you look at the numbers. All right, and what I'm trying to pull up here, they're sitting here at 7th. They have, last year they went for 2,300 yards. Last year, like you said, I don't know if this is exact, I'm not the mathematician here, but you said it's right around 40% is what Josh Allen contributes to that rushing attack. That's 762 yards. So now if you subtract what he contributes to this rushing attack, they're sitting at 1,500 yards on the year. And if you look at that, you take away what he contributes, which you can't fully take away that, right? Because I do think there's quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers, Ryan Fitzpatrick, there's pocket quarterback that get out there and they create huge challenges because they can break the pocket and they can run, right? So you can't take out all of that, but if you did, that puts them at the bottom of the NFL in rushing.
Yeah.
But
right? So this would be a great pickup if they bring in a Dalvin Cook and actually say, Josh, we don't need, almost damn near 800 yards in rushing. What we need from you is give us 300.
Mm-hmm.
Can we look up, Woo? I know you was about to jump in here. I'll do it now. Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to Google how many yards Patrick Mahomes had, right? Patrick.
Well, while you're doing that, I just want to throw out so if you did somehow get Josh to pull back down to 300 yards or even less than that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Dalvin just does sort of what he's averaged the last 4 years. You add 1,100 yards to what you made last year, and it's 300 more yards. What happened?
You said he wouldn't do that on the Bills?
Yeah, because they like their running game. They like their guy. They like what they have. They're committed. But go ahead, finish.
No, but I guess what I was saying was that even if he did 300, right, half of what he did last year, that would still give the team technically 600 more yards than they made this past year. Mm-hmm. Just adding Dalvin, keeping Devin Singletary if he made 819 yards, unless he gets replaced.
Devin's out of there.
Devin's out? Okay, so then, so you would still go up quite a bit, and you could save your quarterback.
Uh-huh. Yeah. No,
with an experienced vet.
But listen, I like what you're saying there, Woo. But I did my quick little research. You are the research guy, But so I don't have to pay you as much because you pay me per topic that you research. So I researched this one. I just want the record to reflect that. Don't charge me for that. All right.
I'll knock that off.
So Patrick Mahomes rushing yards in 2022. So you have Josh Allen with 762 rushing yards. Yeah. Patrick Mahomes had 358.
Yeah.
That's what we need to be looking at.
QB rush.
That's all you need.
And let me tell you why. But when you think about Patrick Mahomes, if you really watch the game, we think about him being a dual threat. He doesn't have 1,000 yards like Justin Fields in Chicago. He's not running the ball like Lamar. He's not toting it like Josh Allen, right? Which makes these quarterbacks extremely dangerous and extremely dynamic. But what happens is when you go third down, and you got dogs out there, running backs out the backfield that can catch the ball. You got 2 or 3 receivers or a tight end that, you spread them out. What does teams like to do? They like to go out there and play like 2 man. They like to go play man. What happens is now the secondary, the linebackers, their backs are turned to what? The quarterback. So now you got 4, maybe 5 rushers. If there's one seam, if they can break the pocket, if they can find one crease, they're gone. They're picking up 22 yards. So it changes the whole flow of the game, and it changes how defensive coordinators have to approach it. But then he only has 358 yards, which is still a lot for a quarterback. But that's where you see him really like making it difficult on defenses. It's 3rd and 10. Percentages decrease. Like you go from a really good team on 3rd down, when you talk about efficiency standpoint, they're sitting there at 40, 45%. That's championship conversion for an offense if you're converting 3rd downs at that clip. But when it's 3rd and long, you're at 20%, you're at 10%. But then you have a guy like Patrick Mahomes out there on 3rd and long, and then everybody got their back to him. Travis Kelce's doubled, this receiver is doubled, or a lot of people pushing that way. And then he goes out there and he picks up 12, 13 yards and does his little slide. That is deflating to everybody on that team, and especially if it's a away game, everybody in the building. So when we talk about Josh Allen, you got to look at, what he needs to correct. And that is definitely a space where, they can improve, and that's taking less load off of him, pause, no pause, in the run game. So that was a great point, Corey.
Yeah. I mean, and of course, you don't want to completely eliminate, his running ability, to your point, Brandon, right? Because that can just completely just deflate a defense when that happens. But yeah, no, we'll see what happens with Josh Allen. I got a question, though, about Dalvin Cook. From your experience, Brandon, like how late can you see a running back of his caliber sign with a team? Because, I mean, we're talking about, a lot of teams across the NFL, they're starting camp. So, like, how soon do you think we'll see that notification come up, similar to, like, the Saquon where he signed a deal with a team?
It can happen any minute, right? And I think Dalvin is actually playing it smart, right? Where it's like, look, the market is down right now. We have no leverage. There's teams that definitely want me, but they want me at their price, right? And like you said earlier, there are some teams that haven't even sent in an offer yet, right? So what Dalvin Cook has done is said, I'll wait. And what is he waiting for? This moment right now. By the end of this week, every single team would have reported to camp. And what happens in camp? Guys go down. Yep. We're already seeing that. Guys dealing with ankle injuries, guys dealing with ACLs. We already have a handful of guys that are out for the 2023-24 NFL season. Yep. So that's what he's waiting for. It's going to happen. And when guys go down, and it's inevitable, that market goes up. You have a Dalvin Cook sitting there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Dalvin Cook is in a sweet position because a lot of time these guys are already gone. They're impatient. They don't make the right decision, and they go take whatever's out there. Dalvin Cook said, no, I'll be patient. I'll wait. Right? So that $8 million that they say he wants, he'll probably get. You never know what's going to happen. Now the challenge for him is going to be, is it going to be, to the team that he wants? If he really wants to win, he wants to be on the contender, right? Like their guys may not go down, right? So now you might end up with a team that that's offering you the bag that needs a running back, but they might not necessarily be in position to win. So it's going to be interesting to watch Dalvin Cook and how this pans out.
Yep, sure will. All right, B, well, we got about like 2 minutes left in this show. What you got planned for the rest of the day out there in Vegas, y'all?
Well, I mean, what else do we have? Like, you have some great topics. Like we have some other stuff. We have Ben Simmons to talk about. We're gonna save that for tomorrow.
Yeah,
what else we have?
You a little long-winded, man. So we trying to fit into like our 105 minute window. So I just had like a little question in my back pocket. You know what I'm saying? For us. So yeah, we're gonna save all of the good stuff for tomorrow. What's up?
Corey, you've been trying to get to these throwbacks all week.
Yeah, I know.
Can't help it.
But we had such a great news cycle today.
I know, that's what it was. It was that today we had such a good news cycle. To whose point, yo, they killed us with a whole bunch of news today.
Yeah.
So I mean, I ain't mad at it, but yeah, that just means we could just carry some good stuff over for tomorrow.
Okay, we'll do that. We got to talk a little bit about Ben Simmons. And I'll give a little spoiler alert. Like, I'm rocking with Ben Simmons, right? Yeah. Like, if he has his mind right, and I don't know exactly where he's at there, but like The problem is people got to stop comparing Ben Simmons to the modern NBA player.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons is still dynamic. Then Ben Simmons is still young. He's going to year 6?
Mm-hmm.
Ben Simmons is not going to be Devin Booker. Ben Simmons is not going to be a Ja Morant.
Yeah.
Bill Simmons, newsflash, everybody, he's Magic Johnson. Go look at the numbers. And we call Magic Johnson, the greatest point guard ever, or at least up there with, top 2, top 3. So now because he's not shooting the 3, or he's not averaging 25, 26 points, we're going to say this dude can't contribute? That's the problem. Ben Simmons needs to stop listening to everybody else and just play his game. Your game is good enough, bro. Just like you have the Steph Currys of the world coming in, you have the Shaquille O'Neal's coming in and totally changing the way the game is played. James Harden, we talked about him. He changed the way people play in the perimeter. This whole step back, travel, not travel thing that they do, and shoot the ball. Like James Harden brought that to the NBA.
Yeah.
So if guys can revolutionize like a position or the game or change the game, why can't Ben Simmons bring back something old? We do it in everything else. Bell bottoms is back.
Yeah, he said bell bottoms. Hey, listen.
There's a lot of things that are back. You mean to tell me we can't bring back an old Magic Johnson game? That's not going to be appreciated?
Yeah. No,
so,
I think we
can
appreciate
talk about this tomorrow, but I'm tired of people talking about Ben Simmons the way they are. You know what I'm saying? And I know people gonna kill me. That's one of my basketball takes.
I'm gonna say,
respect me yet.
Listen, respectable points about Ben Simmons, but I think the Magic Johnson comparison is wild. I can't wait to hear what Ashley thinks.
It ain't wild. How is it wild?
That's wild. Magic Johnson.
Ooh, give me a couple more minutes. I know.
No. I think that'd be a perfect. That's a perfect cliffhanger. That's a perfect cliffhanger for tomorrow. So come back tomorrow. Come back tomorrow for this conversation. This is gonna be a good one.
I'm out to hit tomorrow.
This is gonna be a good one, yo. Hey,
all right.
We'll see y'all later, Paper Route, folks.
Let's go.